Hello everybody, I've got a fun video for you guys today with this Hades episode. Now, this is unlike one of my normal Hades episodes because normally I do live commentary, but as I've discussed in some other series going on the channel at the moment, that we just have a lot of like lightning storms going on in my area, and the result is that power is rather fickle. It'll just like randomly flicker off and on at completely random times, and the result is if I was in the middle of recording or editing or doing something and the power flickers, I tend to lose some part of that. It hasn't happened every time, but sometimes it's the video, sometimes it's the audio. In this case, it was the second half of the audio of this episode. But I wanted to share the rest of this particular episode with you because I found the ultimate build. And it's a shame that the original audio was gone because I was so happy with it. Essentially, we're utilizing that hex that makes us invulnerable and allows us to do a bunch of damage. And then that is on top of the Zeus boon that we're using for our special, making it so Blitz is applied on our special. And then with our hex upgrade, we're making it so that the hex is applying our blitz anytime we use our special. And we're using the witch blades. And the interesting thing with this is our Omega Strike with our special, with all the boons that we have, the special boons that we have, means that our mana cost or magic cost on it goes up to 40 anytime we use an Omega special. But the best part about that is we reach that hex limit so quickly. And this is in conjunction with having insane magic regeneration, because we have the Aphrodite one that allows you to regenerate magic as long as you're nearby something that is weak, and just being by something makes them weak. So it's a self-fulfilling boon on that one, which is really nice. So what we do is we use our two special Omega specials. We dive in, we use the invulnerability, and because we're standing next to the monsters or the bosses in some cases, while the invulnerability is there, our magic goes all the way back up to full. By the time our invulnerability dissipates, which we have the upgrade for I think 3 or 4 extra seconds of it, then that means that while it has dissipated, I use 2 more Omega specials and we're back into it. So I have near like complete invulnerability the entire time, and it's an insane build. So let's watch the Kronos fight for this one, which is only the second time I've ever killed Kronos, but is obviously just absolutely insane. So here it goes. He's going to spawn in. And we're not even going to focus on him initially. We're just going to get the invulnerability up and running, and I'm just going to hit everything with him. So I use the special, I get everything blasted, and then the moment that I drop back out, I use the Omega special, which I just need to cast twice, as we saw, and then I'm immediately back into the invulnerability. And the best part about that is the invulnerability, when I'm casting the hex, like stops time for a second. So I can dive in right next to the boss and utilize that effect. And then while I'm getting into invulnerability, I'm not vulnerable to immediate damage. There is like a small window, and sometimes it does hit me. And I take a couple hits during this fight, but I absolutely dominated him. And to some degree, I feel like this is too powerful. I referenced in this episode, and I've referenced in previous episodes, that this reminds me of Diablo 3 when Reaper of Souls came out. There was an instance where there were invulnerability abilities that you could use, such as the one for the Demon Hunter or the one for the Monk, like Serenity. But when you would use those abilities back when that expansion released, and before that for some of the abilities, you didn't trigger the cooldown on that ability, or you would trigger the cooldown as soon as you went into it, which means that while you were invulnerable, you had those seconds of being invulnerable, of the cooldown counting down. There were abilities later on and items, a bunch of other ways to trick this out where you would get insane cooldown reduction where you're like hitting things and reducing your cooldown, or you know, just like spending resource and your cooldown reduction is happening an insane amount. You're removing the cooldown on that invulnerable ability. So by the time that you're not invulnerable, you have it back up. And it's only been like a handful of seconds. And so there were builds out there that you could literally just be invulnerable 100% of the time. It was hard to pull off with the amount of cooldown reduction you needed, but it was a thing. And the way they ended up fixing it was making it so those abilities no longer went on cooldown the moment you used it. It would kind of have a pause where nothing was happening with the ability while you were invulnerable. And then as soon as you were vulnerable again, that's when the cooldown would start. So it meant that you would never be 100% invulnerable. I haven't come up with a way to make it so we are 100% invulnerable, but we're real close with this, and I am enjoying it quite a lot. Feels a little cheesy. Feels like it needs to be changed a little bit. And this is coming from the person who really, really enjoyed this and kind of just liked having fun with it. But at the same time, I understand from two perspectives, from a player perspective and as a game designer. If you're sitting there and you want to play Hades 2 and you want to push through and make progress, but the only way you feel like it's possible to do that in many regards, or actually just the easiest way to potentially do that, because players will often take the path of least resistance, is to go with this invulnerable build, then you're going to hunt that hex down every time, and that becomes the way to play the game, and that's not necessarily the fun way to play Hades, right? It's the exploration of builds and the using the different weapons and abilities and all of that stuff that make Hades runs really exciting and really fun, because you never know what you're going to get. But if you could use the Selene thing every time right off the bat and try to get her boon or her hex right off the bat and just restart the run anytime you don't get the invulnerability, then that's not so fun, right? And that's kind of where I feel like this is headed at this point, because it is so strong. You just saw I absolutely dominated him, and I think I could defeat every single thing in the game that it ever throws at me by just doing this. So my proposed fix is just making it so that you can't, start using it right away. There's like a 10-second internal cooldown on it that even if you spent the magic for it, there's a small cooldown for it before you can actually go back into it. I think that would be a quick, easy way to solve it, and it may not be the most elegant way, but at least that might be a short-term thing. Anyways, yeah, this was my crazy build. The rest of what you guys missed out on was just talking with people in town. There was really no major conversations, and I'm going to start a surface run on the next one. But yeah, I really, really like this build. Let me know what you guys think of it in the comments below. Like I said, there's a perfect storm here. You have to have high magic regeneration, you have to have the hex, and you have to be able to spend enough magic immediately to get back into it. So things like high magic spending abilities make a big difference. But with all that being said, thank you guys for watching, and we shall see you all next time.